entrepreneur inside of you. I'm your host, Rebel Saklocha, and today I am thrilled to be back in the studio with Josh Demers, a vibrant entrepreneur, co-founder of Prepare Insurance, and an alum of the Engler program. Thanks for being here.
Yeah, I'm so excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So to start us off, you've dove headfirst into entrepreneurship, co-founding Prepare Insurance, but that obviously wasn't a process that just happened overnight. When and where did you get your first introduction to entrepreneurship, and what did that look like?
Yeah, actually, it was when I was in 6th grade. I got invited to this entrepreneurship camp in Central City, Nebraska. And the main goal of the whole week was to come up with a product and then sell it with this big kind of like fair where they invite a bunch of people in at the end of the week. And from that, I actually worked with my grandpa, who he's a mechanic, but he's good with all sorts of tools. And we actually created at the time the bag game, cornhole.
Oh my gosh.
Like there was a lot of people doing it, but we're like, oh yeah, we'll just like make our own, skin it with the husker, like the end.
Yeah.
Which, wasn't exactly legal at the time. But
Details.
Yeah. So we made a bunch of those and went to the fair and sold them, and you just get this huge amount of energy especially being that young, like, wow, I just created something from scratch
rich.
and sold it. Yeah, exactly. That too. It's like, oh, perfect.
Yeah. So how would you describe yourself growing up? Obviously, you had that initial interest, but from there, kind of what other paths did you go down throughout high school and college?
Yeah. So it was super interesting growing up in Hortville, Nebraska, where there was, it's a town of 100 people, and there was no other, people my age except for my brother and sister. So instead of a lot of time playing with other kids, I really dove into a lot of books and just athletics in general. So I think really what sparked my enthusiasm about entrepreneurship was, reading about Steve Jobs and reading a lot of Walter Isaacson's biographies and these great stories of regular people achieving incredible things. So that was really what I set out to be, is like, okay, I can just put my head down for the next 5-10 years and make something great. So, during high school, it was a lot of just like football, basketball, track, a lot of reading, coding, huge interest in business. So when I came to college, I was ready for, whatever opportunity jumped out. So that's really what sparked the entrepreneurship cycle.
Yeah, that's really neat. So you're an alum of the Engler program. How did you get involved in Engler, and how did that experience impact you?
Yeah, so it was actually by happenstance.
Seems to be a trend,
right? So I was actually on City campus in the College of Business Honors Academy, and I didn't find Engler until my junior year when I started working on the idea for Prepare Insurance. I was at a conference in downtown Lincoln about entrepreneurship, and I pitched my startup, and Brennan was there in the audience. And he handed me a business card and was like, yeah, we need to talk about this more. And so this is my junior year, right before Christmas. And I spoke with him at a coffee shop and then joined the Build Camp through the Engler program that next semester. And the company, it was coming together. We were finding the right customers. A lot of customer development was happening in Build Camp. And from that, I just ended up like, all right, I'm just going to graduate this semester and then go do this full time. And really what sparked that was, this supportive group here at Engler was like, yeah, you can actually go do this. You don't have to have this imposter syndrome of, I have to go 4 years before I feel I'm ready here.
Absolutely. Brennan is one of our great business coaches here in the Engler program, and I think it's really neat that you had that experience with him. But to get into the meat and potatoes of your business, tell us about Prepare Insurance, what it is, and how it differentiates itself in the marketplace.
Yeah. So it's this funny thing where everybody in the insurance industry right now is trying to, what they call is make insurance sexy, like make people love insurance. Because if you ask anybody about their what the connotation to insurance for them, it's like a bad connotation, like, oh, I really don't like my insurance agent, or I hate my insurance or my deductible. And what we really sought out was, how do we make this easy for people? And that's what Prepare Insurance is. We're an insurance technology company looking to help people all across the United States right now to get insurance in a fun, easy way. So really the way it came about was I worked at Assurity Life Insurance here in Lincoln. And every single day I saw people that were, struggling with their high deductible health plans that became so common. And we had a product there called critical illness insurance that was there to bridge the gap where somebody might have an $8,000 deductible. Well, if somebody gets cancer or has a heart attack or a stroke, they're going to meet that deductible within that year. And most people can't afford to pay it off. So this was something that they could get to provide them to protection where they could pay off their bills and not have to, sell their house or sell their car or take out massive amount of credit card debt. But at the time it was only sold, maybe over the phone or on a piece of paper that's sent in, and it takes 2 weeks to actually get your policy. Where what happened for us is we thought that we could change it with technology. So what we did is over a year of development, we brought this to the online space where somebody could apply for cancer insurance in about 5 minutes. So
wow. That's insane. I literally got renter's insurance a couple weeks ago, which is not an intense policy at all, and it took me about 2 weeks. So that's pretty insane. So you had this experience at Assurity and kind of opened the realm into some of the opportunities that exist there. And I'm glad you made the joke that you did before, because when I think of insurance, I think of the dad who coached my T-ball team growing up, or like Jake from State Farm, But what about insurance is and was appealing to you? Besides the business opportunity that you saw, what about it kind of intrigued you?
Right. So, the first thing was directly for the critical illness product itself is that you see everybody knows someone that has had cancer or has suffered from a heart attack. And everybody knows the financial loss as well as the health loss and the mental loss as well that goes with that. And when you really dive into the data, you see that it's about 50% chance, or 1 out of every 2 people over their lifetime has a risk of developing cancer. So we know from the data that most people are going to suffer from this illness, but they aren't financially ready for it. So the beauty about insurance is you pay a little bit each day, and then when something happens to you, you're covered. You don't have this massive loss, right? So you're losing every single day until you win financially on it. But it's there for your protection. But we see most people today don't have, life insurance or critical illness insurance. Actually, a stat came out a couple weeks ago where there's as much life insurance sold today as there was in 1950. And that's that's how, how trending in the downward projections that it is. So really, when I look at that, I'm like, okay, there's a massive opportunity here to help people have that protection for their life and for their family as well. But we just need to go out there and make people aware of it.
Absolutely. So take us through the timeline of launching your business, developing it, and kind of where you're at now.
Yeah, definitely. So in 2019, or I guess it would be 18, in November is really when I started on the path of, okay, I think this can work. Let's go and do that customer development. So throughout that whole next 5 months, it was continuously calling on people, seeing if they actually had the problem with their high deductible health plans, and seeing if this could be a solution for them. And then it was May of 2019. I actually took a brief hiatus and spent a month in Peru because I knew we were going to incorporate the business. And everybody that starts entrepreneurships knows how much of a grind it's going to be for maybe 5 to 10 years. So I was like, okay, I'm going to take this time, take a break, go explore, come back to it, and dive right in. So we started software development on this product in 2019 of June. And when we finally launched, it was in April of 2020. And if that rings a bell, it was it was right when all the shutdowns were happening. So it was a crazy time for sure. I mean, everybody was in survival mode. So what I would say from this aspect is a lot of people started paying attention to insurance because they were scared of the possibility of, passing away or having an illness. And it really sped up the whole age of technology where everything was getting put online. Similar to the space of, Amazon's like every product's on there. You click a button, people buy. Everybody was doing the same with all of their products. Like, how do I get to the online space as fast as I can? On your second question of where we are at today, we've actually evolved into a couple other product lines, such as accidental death. We also do life insurance and disability insurance. And really, we are focused on people that, can't get their normal insurance through their work. They have to go find it on the marketplace. Maybe they're a 1099 employee. Maybe they're a truck driver. These are people that a lot of the society aren't helping in a way of insurance, that there's a lot of opportunity for us to get them the coverage they need.
Absolutely. So when COVID broke out, your business was kind of in a fragile state, which obviously you capitalized on that. But from an emotional perspective, this is your baby. Like, what was that like?
I think at first you're terrified. Like, wow, this couldn't have happened at a worse time in the business, right? But you take a step back and you realize that there's a lot of great companies that come out of recessions, and there is a lot of opportunity to be made when everybody else is scared, right? That you really need to put your nose to the grindstone and just keep working and give it your best shot to see if it's actually going to work out, or knowing that if it didn't work out, at least I put my all into this. I can take everything that I've learned and use it for the next opportunity.
I think that's pretty powerful. There's a lot of opportunity to be had when other people are scared. That's good stuff. That's good stuff.
I may have stole that from Warren Buffett or John D. Rockefeller, but
you don't have to admit to that right now. So you mentioned, entrepreneurship is a very fast-paced lifestyle to be in. You mentioned your trip to Peru. Now that you're in the thick of running and owning a business, how do you make sure that you're catering, to all aspects of yourself so you don't, get overwhelmed or burn out?
Yeah. And I think the personal health side is so key for founders, like especially mental health. And a lot of people shun it because they just want to go straight into their business, try to work 16 hours a day and end up just feeling so burnt out. And there's always going to be a couple points where you're like, okay, everything is ruined. This isn't going to work. I'm not good enough. But people just a lot of founders need to focus on how do I build myself up so I can help my business and then help others. And that was a big lesson I had to learn directly into. It's like, okay, I need to try to get 8 hours of sleep a night. If I'm going to be running as successful as I want to be, I have to work out every day, eat well. And those are, once you get into the groove of things, like set up those systems and frameworks, it's very easy to not even think about, okay, yeah, I'm going to bed at 9 o'clock and waking up at 5 and working out, eating well, and then you're just off to the races for the rest of the day. And I think that even today, a lot of people are, shunning outside help as an entrepreneur, but they should be embracing it, whether that's, a support group or a therapist or a business coach. Like, those are little things of just being able to talk out your thoughts during those hard times that help make you stronger for your next stage.
Absolutely. So what would you say has been the biggest learning curve for you, either as an entrepreneur in general or specifically within your business?
Definitely. So I think the first thing is when you achieve a lot, whether in high school and then also in college, when you come out, you feel like you're prepared to do something great, but also that you're immune to failure. And, you have you don't realize this, but your ego is set up just a little high that, okay, yeah, I can do this. I've won awards, won pitches. Yeah, like, we're going to build this company. It's going to be incredible. And really the biggest thing you learn is that you each need to, like, well, ego is enemy. You just need to kill it off right away, because you are drinking from a fire hose constantly of there's so many things that you are doing for the first time, and you have to figure out, like, what's the most important thing I need to be doing right now. And it's very humbling when it's like, okay, I have to go call on this massive customer to get a partnership with them, and I've never done this before. And you get into that conversation, they've been through it a million times, and you just feel like you're getting beat up continuously. but that's the beauty of it, of like, yeah, you just have to keep getting reps in to, you know, upskill yourself to a point where you don't need as much courage to go and do those things for the first time. You just learn it. You're able to go do it the next time. But specifically to the business, when you get into it, you don't really realize, I mean, you're very optimistic, but you don't really realize how much legal and compliance go into it. And especially into insurance. I mean, it's a very regulated space. So you just got to really pay attention to what you're doing in that space. For me, I had no prior background in it. So having to, you know, find someone that's been through this before was extremely helpful.
Awesome. So what does the personnel, setup of Prepare Insurance look like right now? And how important do you feel it is to have people in the right roles?
Exactly. So I think from the offset, I mean, I have 2 incredible partners for this and a lot of advisors. Like, it's probably scary as many people that I call on every week of like, hey, I've never done this before. I want your advice on XYZ company that we want to partner with. So it's very pertinent to surround yourself with people that have been through this before. I mean, that these are still people that are, you know, within their 40s to 50s, have had a career, have had exits, that know how this process works, that can actually give you actionable advice to move forward. Mm-hmm. But in terms of, you know, we have people on our marketing side, software development side, and also our sales. And what I realized at the beginning is that you want to hire people straight into your business rather than maybe some contract work. And the reason being is that, I mean, there's 2 different ways to go about it. The contract work is, yeah, it's great because you can get somebody who's highly skilled, but they might not have as much love for the business as you are. They don't have the skin in the game. So really, you know, throughout these last 3.5 years, what you realize with building teams is it's not as much about the problem that you're trying to solve as much as finding incredible people and giving them the resources and freedom to go solve that problem. And that has served us with success.
Certainly. And that's not an easy thing to do either. So I commend you in that pursuit as well. Your relationship with your 2 partners that you've started out with, how has that changed over the years, and what did those dynamics look like?
Yeah, definitely. So I think in the beginning, it was a lot of me just trying to earn their trust. Like, they've been through the ringer multiple times, and I'm just like, hey, I'm straight out of college. I think this can work.
Here I am.
Yeah, exactly. But it was a lot in the beginning of, hey, I've never done this before. You have. Give me your advice on that. How would you do it? And then also really of being a first-time founder, you have to keep yourself accountable, right? And so using them as a sounding board of, these are the things I'm trying to accomplish. This is the progress that I've made weekly. What are your thoughts on it? How can I get better? What introductions can you make? But as time goes on, you earn that trust a lot more, and you've been through these experiences more, where even like today, it's like, hey, there's this really big problem that I need your help solving, versus, hey, here are the 100 things I'm doing, keep me accountable for them. Yeah. Right. You just go through that cycle of trust and accountability, but also being more specific with your ask as well.
Absolutely. What would you say has been your proudest moment so far? I mean, we talked about the hard things. Now it's time to brag.
Well, I think the first time somebody who was not friends and family or one of us of the business actually submitted a policy through using our process online, because we knew it worked with the others, but it's like, hey, somebody had interest in this and they actually bought. We didn't have to tell them, hey, I want you to go buy. We didn't have to send them ads or emails. They found us, found our stuff compelling, and bought the actual coverage. And that's still the proudest moment of wow, we actually have something of interest here. But also that comes with a whole host of problems in terms of, okay, now we got to figure out how do we make this repeatable, right? When this person found us, what can we learn about this person to go get more of them?
Yeah, pop the champagne type of thing. So it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity emerging in the marketplace for you. What are the next steps, or what are you looking forward to in the next couple years?
Yeah, definitely for me, it's just building out the team. I mean, I've loved leadership all through, high school, middle school, college now, in terms of just the lessons that you can learn and apply them to others. Because I think the beauty of it is you just get to help people grow as humans, but as professionals with, like overcoming the challenges of life, but also just being there as a listening board, right? Like, hey, I have this problem. How would you go about solving it? But also being able to find incredible people and getting them together to solve a common goal. And I think that's one of the most beautiful things in the world.
That's awesome. Okay, so back to the people side of things. Yeah. How are you finding these people that are fitting these roles so well? Is it a matter of, just really great training? Are you targeting specific types of people?
Right.
What does that look like?
Yeah, and I think it's a reflection of who you are as a founder and the partners that you have in the business, that you attract certain people as well. I mean, you have to be overly optimistic about what you're doing, right? Because it's like you're trying to solve an incredibly hard goal, and in the back of your mind, most companies don't make it. So you have to convince people to jump on a ship that most ships sink right around you, and convince them that this is going to be the one that reaches the land, right? For all the riches and everything else that comes with it. But when you look, you just find people in your network that are hard workers. And here's the 3 criteria that we use. First, you're a hard worker. Second, you have high intelligence, that that you can overcome and solve problems. But the third, and which I think is incredibly important, is high integrity. Like, I can trust this person. I can give them autonomy, and they're going to be able to figure out and get back to me what they're supposed to actually get done. Versus you probably know a lot of people too, is like, hey, I need to be told what to do all the time here. And that's how they accomplish things. So when we go to hire people, we look for those 3 things especially.
That's cool. So I'm not going to lie or beat around the bush and say I didn't, do my research before this, but per your LinkedIn profile, it appears that you enjoy coaching young entrepreneurs and even coach high school basketball. What does this element of giving back do for you, or why is it so important?
Yeah, so I think when you try to figure out what your passion is, sometimes it kind of falls into your lap of like, okay, you do a lot of these little experiments to find what is actually something that you're good at and you love to do. So through coaching employees and trying to build a business, naturally when people ask you, hey, do you want to coach basketball? You're like, I've coached business. I think I could do that, right? But then you get into it. I mean, I've only coached over the summer for House Dodge, but it was so enjoyable. The main aspect of, hey, all these people are trying to solve a common goal. How do you help them grow and help them understand that they actually have potential to do and be something great here? Like, that's the beauty of the coaching aspect. But then also just entrepreneurs in general, coaching them is they are very similar to you in terms of they have high hopes, they have high optimism, they are full of energy and passion for what they're doing. And that's almost more empowering to me of like, oh yeah, I can still go do this thing. Like, we're actually going to make it up this mountain here at Prepare Insurance. And it's almost like a motivator being around others that are, following similar missions.
Absolutely. You'll just have to get some basketball jerseys for the Prepare Insurance team.
Right.
Well, we can't have this conversation without acknowledging the fact that your wife, Haley, is also an alum of the Engler program. How important is having a life partner that understands, the ins and outs of entrepreneurship?
Oh, definitely. I mean, she is my biggest supporter. I love her to death. And she also started her own business. And that's the beauty of it is, what it's like to experience the highs, but also the lows. And that's when you really need someone like that, as when you go through a low moment of, they're able to be there to pick you up,
Yeah.
And like, hey, it's okay. Let's just wake up tomorrow morning and move forward, or,
Yes.
Just keep climbing up the mountain. But with Haley, the beauty of it is she's like a ray of sunshine all the time. So
I can attest. I can attest. If you're a listener who has not met Haley, just envision sunshine.
Yeah, exactly. But and the beauty thing is too is like, even at nights where it's like I'm working till 7 or 8 o'clock, and I miss supper, and it's like, hey, we didn't go on a walk. We didn't walk our dog. It's it's one of those things,
Adult things.
right? Where she understands, what I'm going through, why I have to keep working to achieve this certain goal. And a lot of people have a hard time understanding those types of things. I mean, I've missed family vacations and other things, and it's hard with those dynamics where it's like, well, why couldn't you just take off work? You're the founder, or why do you work so much, or why can't you do certain things? And you just know in your heart that it's like, I need to be doing this right now. This is going to be my whole world. And it's important for those types of people to just be there for you, instead of negating, what you're actually working on.
Absolutely. So it's very evident that you're just wired in this very productive frame of mind, very forward thinking. What is it for you that makes you want to continue down this path versus taking a job at another insurance company?
Well, what I would say is that I have a deep love for startups. And it all comes to, I think that startups can change the world. That one person with an idea can build an incredible team, an incredible company that helps serve the greater population. I mean, it's just one evident example is it's just like Zoom, like being able to, create a business where people can talk to each other all around the world. In our business, for a lot of the partnerships that we have, people had to go fly out every week to go meet people for different meetings that might only be 1 hour, and then have to go and try to schedule another meeting or fly back. And now with that company, it's like, hey, you can talk to anybody across the world and get things done. And it's, that's what I mean by like startups can change the world. I mean, there's so many everywhere that, why wouldn't you want to be a part of something exciting and knowing that your work contributes to something that's of actual use?
Absolutely. I think that's pretty powerful. So as we kind of round out our conversation today, what would you like to leave people with?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is that you just got to have courage when you start a company, right? There is going to be a lot of things that you do for the first time. And there's going to be this instance where it's like the resistance coming at you, closing in of like, oh, you're not good enough, or maybe this is a bad idea, or you're going to screw this up. And all you need is a tiny ounce of courage of like, no, I believe in myself. I'm going to make this call or reach out to this person, or keep building what I'm building today. And I think that's what a lot of entrepreneurs need when they get into that dark spot, or when they don't want to do something. It's just like, you got to have courage, but then also you got to have those frameworks and systems where okay, this is the next most important thing that I need to be working on.
Well, Josh, thank you so much for sharing your story today with us. Once again, that was Josh Demers, Engler alum and co-founder of Prepare Insurance. Thanks for joining us today on the Engler Journey. Don't forget to leave us a review and check out our next episode releasing on Tuesday.
Perfect. Well, thank you.